Frank J. Parisi, do you know what time it is?
I do.
It is that time, Frank. Let's roll 'em. Welcome to episode 44 of Anatomy of an Entrepreneur. We are here with the whole gang, ready for another scintillating program on what it takes to become a good entrepreneur. You know, the thrust of this program is that we believe virtually anyone can become a successful entrepreneur, but you have to have some ingredients for that. You need drive, you need to work hard, you need some good guidance, and you need some tools. And if you have those, there is a very, very good chance you could become a successful entrepreneur, which comes in many shapes, sizes. Before we get going with our guests, I want to do a little housekeeping. First of all, this show is brought to you by My Instant Office. If you need a desk, a chair, a conference room, for the day, the week, the month, come on in, sit down, and get to work. You know what they say, Frank J. Parisi?
What do they say?
They say, just add yourself. And this program is brought to you by the Huntington Chamber of Commerce. Joe Maddalone, did you know that the Huntington Chamber of Commerce is the largest chamber of commerce on Long Island?
Yes, I did. As a member of the board of directors, I did know that.
Oh, now you're embarrassing me. Usually people don't know that every week. Do you know how many people they get at that fall festival?
They say between 200 and 300,000 over the weekend.
That's a lot of people.
It's a lot of people.
Yeah. Anyway, so the associate director, Courtney Bino, we were having a conversation one day, and I said, Courtney, I need something to say about the Chamber of Commerce. What do you want me to say? And she said, just tell people it's the best darn chamber in the world. And that's it. That's all she wrote. So today we have on another great program, seriously. I feel very honored to have here a business associate and a friend and a member of the Huntington Chamber of Commerce, as I am as well, who is a business coach, and he has developed quite a business helping people build a business where they can work on their business and not get caught up in all the minutia. And it's so important. So without further ado, welcome, Joe.
Well, thank you, and I'm happy to be here and help you with your show today.
I really appreciate it. I'm very sorry about the technical glitches, but we are working on them. I know Frank J. Parisi is working on them. For some reason, Joe's mic is not working, so we're just going to live with it.
That's correct.
This is online TV. We call it the golden age of television. It's like Milton Berle. So, but anyway, Joe, do me a favor, and let's start out by you telling us just a little bit about yourself and what you do.
My business is Joe Maddalone Power Strategies. I help businesses grow strategically, whether you're a professional business owner or not-for-profit. I help you with your business model. I help you set realistic goals and put together a strategy to reach those goals. You referenced me as a business coach. Some people consider me a business consultant, and others view me as their trusted advisor to help them really stay on track to reach their goals.
So, like going on a diet, you have to make the decision, I'm going to do this. Because I don't care what diet you're on. If you're on Weight Watchers, you're on whatever the flavor of the month is, unless you decide to do it, you're not going to get anywhere. And business is the same way. How do you motivate people to push themselves forward?
That's a great question. And before I begin to motivate someone, I really need to understand what their vision is. Where do they want to be in 5 years? What is their real goal about their business? And one of the things I like to say to people is this a business or a hobby? Because sometimes we talk about passion, and I know that you are involved with classic cars, which I would say you're probably passionate about, and it's like a hobby. So some people are passionate about something, and they may sell things, they may build things, think they have a business because they bring in some revenue, but really it's a hobby. So one of the things I really need to understand is this a business? Are they willing to be committed, to be laser focused, and to be accountable to reach those goals? The motivation comes from me really understanding where they want to be. And the best way to motivate someone, whether it's with a diet, as you referenced, or their business, is to create short-term goals where they can succeed. Nothing motivates someone like success. So if they have some short-term goals for a year and they start reaching them, then they're motivated to get the goals for the second year, and they know they're on track to reach that ultimate goal, what their vision is in 5 years. And I think that's really the key. Focus, commitment, and accountability. Many people have some of those, some of the three, but not all of the three. And those are the businesses that ultimately fail, or instead of using the word fail, they just don't reach those goals, right, and they stagnate, and they'll maybe be happy there, but they're not going to reach that ultimate goal.
By the way, if you only want to put in the headphone when we're watching certain videos because that's uncomfortable,
yeah,
just take it out.
Oh, okay.
And just put it in when we're going to watch a video. I don't want you to be uncomfortable.
Yeah, it was a little uncomfortable, so thank you.
I could tell. So I'm going to guess one of the things that you do is, in the beginning, is you help people have little successes quickly. Because if they have little successes quickly, it might help the motivation a little bit. Am I correct?
You're correct, but again, you really need to set a goal that ties into what their ultimate vision is. So you just can't say do something and be successful at it. It has to be part of a strategy. Mm-hmm. So it's small steps, but there's a big strategy. There's a marketing plan. There's a marketing strategy. And sometimes as you go along and you may be successful with a small goal, a short-term goal, and you have to change because they realize that, I wanted to reach this particular level in 4 or 5 months, but I can't do that, or I don't want to do that, and they'll pivot. And many times they'll change the direction and the goal, and that's fine because they're on top of their game then.
Yeah, and you brought up a lot of interesting key words, or let's just say relevant key words that you need to be successful. And you and I sat and we picked out some clips from previous shows that we thought might be good to talk about.
Correct.
So I was thinking maybe we just move in and let's start talking about it. And I know the first one was about passion, right?
Yes.
So why don't we start by playing the first clip about passion?
The only things that really interested me were sports and music, and playing with my friends and being involved in sports. So whether it was football, which I enjoyed the most playing, basketball, baseball, lacrosse, I just wanted to be playing as much as possible and out having fun. I was never super interested in the book portion of school, and that was something that only came later on with maturity. Mm-hmm. And that puts you behind a little bit, not having that foundation from younger years, not paying as much attention as maybe you should. But I remember my father got me a book when I was clearly not paying enough attention in school, and it said, do what you love. The only things that really interest.
So I think he said, do what you love. Is that how it ends, Frank?
I think he said, do what you love, and the money will follow.
The money will follow.
That was the quote, because I remember writing it down.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Discuss.
I don't necessarily agree with that.
Okay.
Because you could be very passionate about something. And it's funny that he mentioned sports, because I view sports, and I'm a sports fanatic, as a microcosm of life. And there is a difference between one athlete who's very passionate and works very hard, and someone with the same talent and is passionate but works harder, much harder. And there's a difference there. So you just can't be passionate and say the money will flow.
Right.
Because I could list, and you probably know of hundreds of companies where people were passionate but didn't have a plan, didn't invest their time and hard work to achieve what they wanted to achieve. So passion's good, but a client actually this morning sent me a link to an article, and it was about passion and planning, and it said, passion is just the starting point. It ignites you, but it's not going to get you where you want to go. It may keep you involved, but it's hard work, it's having a plan, and working real hard. Being focused, those words I referenced, focused and commitment and accountability, are the key.
Right. And I was planning on disagreeing with you on that statement. But in fact, the way you've explained it, yes, I completely agree. Here's what I believe. I believe that passion, you have to have passion. If you don't have passion, the other stuff won't follow. But in order for you to move ahead, the passion is the first thing. First, you got to find your passion. You find your passion, but then there is a ton of work after that. A ton.
And missteps. And I'm going to use an example since he referenced sports. Everybody hates Tom Brady, but Tom Brady was drafted really low. Tom Brady had a chip on his shoulder, but he was passionate and he worked really hard. And I've read a lot of books about other quarterbacks who've gotten drafted low, like Montana, Aaron Rodgers, who are very, very successful. And they turn that misstep or disappointment into becoming some of the greatest quarterbacks around. They were too small, their arm strength wasn't there, they weren't athletic, they were slow, but yet they worked really hard. They had a passion, but they coupled that with work and worked harder than everyone else.
And again, I have to agree with you because you can be passionate, but you need to have that hard drive. And the way I also look at it is, football player A has all this talent. Football player B may not have as much talent. But football player B, in fact, might be more successful and end up being a better football player if he worked harder.
Just look at high schools. Look at a JV team. There's the third string center, let's say, and he wants to start. And there's the first string center who gets kind of comfortable. He's the first string, but by the senior year, that third string guy worked so hard, he's now the starter.
Yeah.
It's not where you are, it's where you want to be. Where do you want to get, and what effort are you willing to put into it?
Yeah, I can't agree more with that. So we're getting to the point where we're talking about it's a lot of hard work. And we both know a gentleman by the name of Barry Lights. Barry Lights is a local attorney here in the Huntington Township, and that's a guy who knows how to work. And I would like to play the next clip of Barry Lights, and hopefully we'll get the end Frank J. Parisi.
Law school teaches you how to think. Law school teaches you how to reason. The practice of law itself, the nuts and bolts of practice, is learned after you get out of law school. I was fortunate enough to get it from my law firm. But even there's always a struggle to, quote unquote, get the good work. You could be stuck at a Xerox machine, or you could be actually shadowing some senior lawyers as they do the work for the client. And that's, quote unquote, the good work. There's only one way to do that, to get that good work, is to work hard. It's to be there early, it's to leave late, and just be, and never say no. Never say no. Can you do this? Of course. Mm-hmm. Of course. Even if you can't, you figure out how to get it done.
Let's discuss.
Okay, so I just want to comment on the last thing he said. In working your way up in a firm, never say no. I totally agree with that. You want to be someone that's a go-to guy in the firm or organization, whatever it is. But once you're in business, and we both know Barry, he's a very hard worker, he's prepared. But in business, and a law practice is a business, you need to know when to say no. You need to know when to turn a client away. You need to know whether you're in any type of business that this is not someone I want to work with, because they're never going to be satisfied. But in terms of hard work, I mean, Barry is a hard worker. He talked about law school and working in a firm early on, but he works very hard, researching, staying on top of the law. He continues to work hard. And I think that's something that needs to come through. He didn't emphasize that enough, but I want to, as someone who knows him, that him and any other person who's successful works hard by staying on top of the game. And let me just give you an example of someone else. I believe they were on a prior show, Diane and Maria from Daigo.
Yes.
Now they're an example of two young women. They're mothers, they're wives, they have families, and they're passionate as artists. They are artists from education and their background, but they wanted to have a business, and they turned that passion into a business and worked very, very hard. And I know you had them on your show maybe twice.
Yes.
So they're an example of joining the passion and the hard work to achieve the goals that they've set for themselves.
Right. So the one area I'm going to disagree with you on is the never say no part. While I do agree with you that, like, if you don't want to work with somebody, say no. But I know that when I've had a good client and the client said, "Can you do that?" I would just say yes, and I'd figure it out later.
But that's not what I meant. Of course, if you have a good relationship with a client,
Yes.
you're going to service them, you're going to take care of them.
Right.
Because that's viewing it as a relationship and not a transaction. So if I deal with a client, I don't want a client that I'm going to coach or work with for 6 months and then they're gone. I want to have a relationship with them. So not only do I work with them longer than that, but they refer business to me because they trust me. They know I work hard for them, and I want them to succeed.
Yeah, that makes sense. That makes a lot of sense.
But there are the clients, and I actually, one of the seminars I just had was, you need to know when to say no. And it was, certain, it could be an employee also, it could be anything. If there's a toxic situation in your company,
Agreed.
or a client that is just preventing you from doing the work you need to do for your other clients because they're sucking the time and effort from you and discourage you from working, those are clients you need to get rid of.
Yeah, I agree.
And employees.
I don't think Barry was saying yes to everything. I think he was saying yes, well, can I take that on?
Exactly. That's why I try to differentiate it
Yeah.
from someone who's starting in a firm where you want to be the go-to person.
Right.
I'll do this, I'll copy, I'll shadow you. You do that to develop a relationship with the people you're under. You're under.
Or if it's something you've never done before, but you kind of assess, can I get that done? I say yes. I say yes to that. I do agree with you. I mean, I know in my last business, we grew it pretty large. It's a pretty large company. And I took everything on. And it was not good because I had some clients that were just so difficult to work with. And now in this present business that I have now, in the stage of life I'm in, if I don't like you, I'm not going to work with you anymore.
So we agree on that one.
Totally. I mean, there were things, I feel like I sold myself out at some times in my last business. I had a family, I was raising children, I wanted the almighty dollar. And to me, the dollar is not the most important thing anymore. It's having fun and having peace of mind.
Exactly.
So I think we have another clip that we wanted to talk about. And that was, another Huntington Chamber of Commerce member, Alan Gote of Babalu. And he talks about challenges. Do we have an issue?
There's a pretty bad delay with the audio.
As in syncing?
Yeah.
Is it in both Facebook and YouTube?
It's just directly in the remix, which means that their Facebook and YouTube are seeing it too.
It means what?
Facebook
It's
and
both.
YouTube are definitely seeing it,
This is interesting. I had that issue last week, but not with that laptop.
It goes in and out. It, like,
Yeah, that's the
syncs
issue we were having last
out
week.
and then goes back in. Right, you see the layout there? It's like maybe a half second.
So you can go, there's something in there, I forgot where it is. I think it's in, if you go into your cog of audio and you go into settings, I think there's like a delay button. There's a delay slider in there. And I'm not sure if that will help solve the problem or not.
Maybe a 10 channel? Maybe a 10 channel? Is that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 10?
What's that? 1, 2, 3, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Does it help?
No, I can make it delay more, but I can't make it delay.
Can't make it delay less.
Oh,
We're just,
wait, actually, I can make it. Okay, give me another 10.
1, 2, 3, 4, 7, 8, 9, 10.
That's a little better.
Is it better?
One more time.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Sorry for the technical difficulty, folks, but
It did help a tiny bit.
just a tiny bit.
Yeah.
Okay, well, we're going to have to live for the now, and then I'm going to have to go in when it's on demand, and I'm going to have to resync it. So
I
it's
think I
working.
remember what his video talked about.
Right, so it's not the video, I think it's everything he's saying.
Oh.
But I would venture to say that the video is synced, right?
No.
No, it's not.
Yeah, so it's like I'm seeing it in vMix, which is like definitely means that YouTube and Facebook are seeing.
It's what?
Definitely means that Facebook and YouTube are seeing.
Right.
But that did help a little bit, made it a little better, but it is still there.
Oh, you mean it's not working at all?
It's working, it's just that our voices are not synced with our lips.
Got it.
So here's what I say. I say we keep going on
Yeah.
and deal with it.
Yeah.
And then when I re-edit it, I'll sync it all back up so that when it's
Okay.
on demand, it's going to be synced. But I think that we should do that. And I'm not understanding because that happened on another different laptop
Yeah.
in the city.
It's annoying because it's like definitely not a setting right. That's like something happens.
The good news, not a lot of people are watching it live tonight.
How many? 10?
No, 2.
2.
So
Do you know who it is?
yeah, probably me and her. I have a feeling it's because of the holiday.
Oh, I didn't want to do it because
Yeah,
of this.
but the on demand is
No,
going to live a long
listen,
time,
we'll-
and you're going to come back again.
yeah.
So let's keep going, Frank,
Okay.
and we'll deal with it. And let me know if it gets any better.
Yeah, I'll let you know. Keep it updated.
So yeah, we're having the same issue. I'm gonna have to talk to Tom about that. So anyway, we have the third clip, which was Alan Gote. And Alan talks about challenges, so why don't we play that clip? How did you get through the challenges of when you were in a fight and you lost? What did you do? Like, how did you, I mean, it's got to be a blow to your ego no matter who you are.
Yeah,
Seems
it
right.
definitely was. I still remember my first loss. It was at the Paramount here in Huntington Village.
That's what I'm saying.
I was 8-0, lost by decision, and I've seen many people lose there, including my training partners that I used to train with all the time. And I've seen them lose, seen them, I've been at the fights, and they never came out to their supporters. But me, myself, I don't handle losing well. I'm a very ultra-competitive person. But whenever I did lose, I came out to my supporters right away. Whether I was crying, upset, or sad, or angry, I owed it to them to be there to be supportive because they were there to support me. And I think if you can stand up and look at yourself and say, okay, I did this, I can accept it and then move forward, I think it's a part of me that keeps me moving forward.
What do you think about that, Joe?
Well, I was a little confused because he said, I'm a bad loser, I don't like, or I'm a good loser, I don't like to lose, but he went out and supported, his followers and was thankful that they were there. However, he didn't say that he learned from those fights. And I think in business, every successful person has, I'm going to use the word failure, has failed along the way, everyone. And failure is an opportunity to begin again in a better way and learn from those things. So we know that he left boxing and went on, and we'll talk about that. But I think he didn't look at it as, okay, let me look at films. Let me see what I didn't do and what can I do, and listen to his trainers, and want to get to that next level, which is fine, but it may be indicative of he was passionate about boxing to a point, and he wasn't willing to do the extra training to take him to that next level.
Or he just didn't explain it.
Yeah, but we know that he changed. He left
Yeah,
boxing.
He changed careers because he couldn't make a good living. He loved boxing. He really loved it. And he grew up with boxing. His grandfather was a professional boxer, and he really loved it. And his father was like a martial arts instructor. He left it because A, he couldn't make money from it. B, he knew that getting punched in the head a lot is going to really affect him. And C, he didn't want to stay in the business unless he could box. He said the other side of the business was really not for him. He was not really fond of how things happen in boxing.
I do know that, and I agree with what you're saying, that there were other reasons. But again, I look at him as an athlete, and I get back to it because I have a cousin who was a professional heavyweight. So I know what they go through, and I know the time and effort. He made a choice. He didn't want to keep getting hit, which is probably a wise move. A lot of them have brain issues later.
Yeah.
So, that's all fine. I'm just throwing the passion in there. And if he really was passionate, it's like football players, the concussion issue with that and other sports, there's always a risk. And when you're really passionate, you take those risks, even though it may not be wise. So he probably made a perfect decision for him, which is fine. I was just trying to tie it in a little bit to a real passionate person does what they need to do to get to that next level. But also, he made a choice, and it's fine, and I respect it. And you explained it because I really didn't have a conversation with him.
So then are you saying that passion really means that you'll stop at nothing?
No. But passion is a driving force to have you reach your goal. However, if along the way that passion takes you to a point where you're not really happy with that, you may have just changed. You may have taken on a family. There could be things in your life. You could still be passionate, but you don't have the talent anymore.
Right.
There are a lot of things in life that alter what we do. God says, you make your plans and I'll laugh. So that's what really happens to many people. You plan things, but life gets in the way.
If you want to keep talking on that subject just a little bit, because I actually got the dictionary's definition of passion. Anything else you want to say about that?
Well, it's a motivating force. It drives you to take risks, and it's a motivator.
So here's Oxford Dictionary's definition of passion. There were two of them, and you decide which one you want to discuss tonight. Number one is strong and barely controllable emotion. And two is the suffering and death of Jesus.
There's more, because I looked it up too this morning, and I looked it up in Webster's. It's not suffering, that's.
Well, that was Jesus.
Yeah, and the passion is a driving force. When you're passionate about something, you do what you want. And I'm going to give you my example. Okay, I'm passionate about the Yankees now. It's not a trivial thing. So if there are decisions in my life now, and I want to watch a Yankee game, and I get invited to other things that I don't want to go to, I'm staying home, and I'm going to use that no word, and I'm going to stay home and watch the Yankee game or go to a Yankee game because I'm passionate about that. Mm-hmm. Now, there are a lot of other people that'll be passionate about the Yankees. They're not going to sit through 2 games over the weekend that each were over 4 hours.
Yeah. So maybe Alan evolved.
Yeah, that's what I was getting at. You know, things change. He's made decisions, and I was not, and I don't want it to sound like I was being critical.
No, that's okay.
We all make changes, or sometimes you have to.
So then, let's bring this back to your business. How do you help people who are passionate, but you can tell they're not going to be able to go to the distance? What do you say to them? How do you handle it?
I'll give you a real example. I worked with someone for over a year. This person was very passionate about what this person was doing, but put up roadblocks. She wasn't committed. She was passionate, but not committed, and was distracted by other things that this person wanted to do, and wasn't reaching her goals, and was complaining about it. You know, we're doing this a year and a half, and look at my bottom line. And I said, yeah, look at what you've been doing and what you have not been doing, and let's stay friends. We're not working together anymore. So I've done that with 2 clients. I've let them go, not because I didn't like them. We happen to still be friends, but they weren't committed, focused, and being accountable. Now, they thought they were, but they weren't.
How did they handle that? Your honesty.
They understood, and one laughed and said, "You're right. That's just not the way I am." I said, "Well, I said that's fine, but if you have these goals that you and I talked about, you're preventing yourself from reaching them." And a lot of people are like that.
Then you must be passionate about what you do.
I'm big on success, and I want to qualify success as I have clients define success for them, and not what I think success is for them. And that's why that vision, that 5-year vision, and I have them write it down. I have them be very, very specific about where they see themselves at a certain period in time. And then we start and try to put a plan together to reach that. And it doesn't mean I want to have $20 million in 10 years. It's specific things. If they have a business, I want the business to grow. I want to add, I want to grow, or I want to cut back. You know, cutting back is part of a plan too.
Sure.
You know, I want to cut back and spend more time with my family. So help me work 4 days and not 7 days.
Right. So we are on clip number 4. And this is about staying positive. And this is Laura Voyer, and she's a pet sitter to the stars in LA. And let's hear what she has to say about staying positive.
When you have these challenges and these stumbling blocks, how do you get through it?
I guess I have one of those personalities where I always think things are always working out for me. And I'm a big believer in the universe and pure positive energy. And I always think that the universe has something good in store for me. And I have faith in that. I have faith in my positive aspects. So I always feel like things are always working out for me. And even when things seem really crappy, I know that it's because something better and bigger and even more delightful is going to happen.
What do you think?
Well, challenges are like a misstep, like a failure, and you need to overcome it. She used the word faith a few times and positive energy in the universe. I'm a believer in my own personal life, and I had some unfortunate circumstances, but I refused, and I mean refused, to have any negativity get in my life. And I verbalized it to my children. I verbalized it to my wife, who unfortunately had passed away shortly thereafter. But I said, you know, I know who I am. I know what I could do. I know what I'm going to do. And I don't want any negativity in this house. So that was me. So in dealing with clients, you know, the negativity, a challenge, a misstep is if you're working with someone and they're committed and they're passionate, then they have positive feelings about what they can do. If there's someone who isn't confident, not arrogant, but confident in what they are planning is something they can do, then they'll overcome some missteps. They'll overcome a bankruptcy. They'll overcome things because they'll begin again and learn from it. And that's taking positive energy and taking a negative and make it positive. And it's fine. It works for her. She was more faith-based, what's in the universe, and I get that, you know. that's not all of me. It may be a little bit of me. I'm a faith-based person, but I believe if you want something to happen, you have to make it happen.
Right.
You have to put yourself in circumstances and give it the best opportunity to succeed.
Do you believe that it's okay when you fail to have some self-pity for a little while? Or do you think that you're supposed to just get up and move on?
You can call. I don't like the word pity.
Okay.
If you're disappointed in yourself, if doubts come in, is this really what I should be doing? I think that's key. And then you'll realize, but this is something I really want to do, and I'm going to make it happen.
Or you'll realize it's not something you want
Exactly,
to do.
and then you'll pivot away from it.
Which there's nothing wrong with that either.
Absolutely not.
Which I think some people get caught up in, well, I have to do it because the whole world knows that I'm doing this, and if and I can't let anybody see I fail, which is about your own self-worth.
Well, the other thing, and this leads into something I preach, is execute. So some people are afraid to fail even when they're moving along, and they want to take a leap and do something and change something in their business model, but they're afraid to fail. And these are clients that I tell them, not literally, but figuratively, stop talking, stop thinking, and stop reading. Because once you do your due diligence in whatever it is, a new marketing plan, a new product, and you've done your due diligence and done your SWOT analysis, go for it. Execute the plan. And many times people are just afraid to fail. Some people are afraid to succeed too. That came up in one of my seminars.
Yeah, well, there is a failure.
Yeah.
There is a fear of success.
Right.
There have been books written about the fear of success.
I know. So it's they have to overcome that and sort of balance what it is they really want.
You have to be willing to get up and dust yourself off and keep moving, and know that that's going to happen more often than it's not. I've had so many more failures than I've had successes.
Yeah, well, that's what I was getting at. Every Wheelies, the Vanderbilts, the Thomas Edison, all of these successful people, the Rockefellers, T. Boone Pickens, all of these people have had downturns in their businesses, sometimes bankruptcies, but they come out stronger and better because they weren't letting anything negative get into their life.
Yeah, I agree. So we have one more clip. And now we're going to be talking about leaving yourself open to possibilities. So a lot of times I think we close our off to possibilities, like, oh, I can't do that, or I shouldn't do that, or, I mean, there's like fear and all that kind of stuff. So this is a gentleman who's a consultant. Are we still live?
Yeah, no, we're still live. I'm just worried that.
Anyway, this gentleman, he's a COO. He's been a COO of many companies. His MO is to get fired. He goes into companies to help them become more efficient and work himself out of a job. And so he's a consultant, and he's always let himself open to possibilities. So why don't we give this gentleman, Michael Lavilla, a little clip, play his clip.
I applied to Villanova. I was so overreaching in my efforts to, get into a good school. Villanova had decided that they didn't really think I was up to par for the curriculum I wanted to study, which was business. So kindly, they offered me, in the rejection letter, they offered that I could reapply for arts and sciences, which I did. I happened to be walking across the campus one day when I encountered a couple of classmates. I asked them, where are you going? And they said, oh, we're going to the business school to apply to transfer out of arts and sciences into the business school. I said, I'll go with you. I went and I filled out an application, and they accepted me in for my spring semester of my freshman year, and I later graduated with the degree that's mounted right next to the framed rejection letter.
From Villanova.
From Villanova.
That's great.
Which added a very curious P.S. It said, P.S. Even if you are accepted in the School of Arts and Sciences, it is highly unlikely you'll ever transfer to the business school.
If you're willing to put yourself out on a limb, and you're willing to try, and you're not scared of failing, and you hang in there,
I applied.
well, then you can pretty much do almost anything you want.
Yeah.
do you think of that story?
Well, I love his story I'll get to. I love your optimistic attitude. You could do anything you want, and I always qualify things. That's just my personality. But in terms of him, about the business school, he persevered. It was perseverance. He didn't want to give up. But that's an example of a lot of people. They'll think of alternative ways to accomplish what they want, and they're not afraid. I'll give you an example about me. I have a lot of workshops, an entrepreneur breakfast series. Well, I wanted to do something. I wanted to get in front of people and educate them. So I offered a workshop 2 or 3 years ago, but was petrified that no one would come. It was a free thing. It was in a conference room at my office. I had bagels and coffee. I promoted it through the chamber and through my contact list, and who knows? You could register, but you don't have to pay, so there was no commitment to show up. And I had 14 people. I wanted 12. And then it has grown into not only the workshop, which I now charge for and have sponsors for, but I have a breakfast series. I have a boot camp. So anyway, I overcame the fear of sitting in my conference room with 24 bagels and a box of Joe and no one show up and pay for marketing material and handouts. But, I took the risk. And I think you have to put yourself in a situation where you're not afraid to fail. And even if it didn't work, I would have kept having them, because that's just me. I would have said, well, why didn't it work? And I would have talked to people, because people were saying when I offered it for free, I did talk to people. I did some due diligence. They said you should charge from the get-go because people won't show. They're not going to be committed. But once they have a little skin in the game and pay, they'll come. But I took the slower approach. I built a little reputation. I had a lot of people come to all of them, or most of them. So it was planning, it was taking a risk, and persevering. And like I said, if no one showed up, I would have tweaked it some way and had another one.
Going back to this clip, and we can see if we can tie it to you, is the thought of making your own luck.
You can. You can, but it's not just luck. He put himself in a situation.
He saw an opportunity, which was luck, and he seized it.
Yeah, luck comes along. Many times the best business deals are fortuitous. They're not planned. You could be at a wedding. You could be at a party and meet someone and be able to form a real strategic alliance with when you didn't go there planning to get a business partner or something. Right. So it's just putting yourself out there, and I wouldn't call that luck, because, luck comes around because of you. You have to really have a personality and not drive things away. Sometimes opportunities come to people in very, casual situations, but they don't follow through.
I have a friend, Tom Sinclair of Eastern Shore Broadcasting, easternshorebroadcasting.com, who suggested to me that I more often put myself in the path of traffic. And I'm finding that is helping tremendously. As a matter of fact, we have a client now in Manhattan because we put ourselves in the path of traffic. There was an event sponsored by my university, and I offered to live stream it. I didn't just go in with one camera. I went in with a crew, 4 cameras, lighting, and we set this whole thing up as if the client was going to spend, a client would be spending $10,000, $15,000, $20,000. And don't you know, the venue that was holding that event, the senior vice president of marketing saw what we were doing and came up to me and said, I've never seen anything like this before. Could I talk to you? And 2.5 months later, I have a pretty cool client. And they're a fantastic client. They're so wonderful to work with as well.
And that's an example of, you really made that happen. You went out there and put yourself in the traffic, or you were out and went out there, and you did something and put a really good presentation together without thinking you would nail the venue person.
I didn't.
But it happened.
Yeah.
So again, luck, it's more than luck. You're putting yourself in a position to be in lucky situations, be in fortuitous situations. Serendipity works sometimes. It just happens. Sometimes you meet people when you're not looking to meet people, and it could be a wonderful wife down the road.
Right.
But I don't call that luck.
Right. So, Joe, we're almost out of time, but I want you to give us just a couple of minutes about what you do and how you help people. And if, Frank, you could put up Joe's website, because I think we have that as a lower third. Could you do that, Joe? Tell us a little bit about what you do, because I would like to learn more about what you do.
So part of my practice is one-on-one. I'll work, or one-on-two if it's two partners, and I help them put a plan together. But the first thing I do with any client is that vision. Where do you want to be? And they write it down, and then where are you today? And they need to really look at their business. Where are they? And then, then we work on putting a plan together. I referenced some of this before. I don't mean to be repeating myself, but it's not rocket science what I do. It's being very pragmatic and getting people to be honest with themselves and with me to put a plan together, a realistic plan. And that's another key. So the short and long-term goals need to be realistic and time specific. So it's like, okay, in a month, you're going to have these 3 meetings. In a month, you're going to initiate this marketing strategy. In 2 months, you're going to do this. I just did it with a client last week who's launching an app. And so it's the business plan, it's the business model, it's the goal setting, it's the accountability partner. But you heard me mention the workshops. I'm big on educating also. So I have this Entrepreneur Breakfast Series, which is in the fall and spring, 3 consecutive Fridays, 2 hours. I have guest speakers. I have panel discussions. They've grown, and I'm proud to say, where I now have sponsors for these events. And they went from my conference room to Mac's Steakhouse or to Adelphi's campus in Hop Hog. So I educate and help people grow their business, but really understand what success is. Discuss balancing work-life, which is an example in a lot of businesses. They're working 7 days. I work with a lawyer who was on 12 boards, and I said, okay, let's go down the list of boards, and let's knock off 10, because you're spending too much time not really working about things that have a return on it. The other thing I go over that's critical is the value of your time. Where are you spending your time? What is the return on the investment of your time? And that means, are you going to networking groups to collect business cards? Are you going to events because they're social? Where are you spending your time, and what is the return on the investment for your business? I'm not talking about going out with friends. I'm talking about when someone says, oh, you got to come to lunch and meet this person. I've done a few of those. And what I then say, why should I meet that person? You're telling me to meet someone? Why? My time is too valuable to have lunch with someone that I don't need to. I have plenty of friends. I'm not looking for friends. So what's in it for me if it's supposed to be a business meeting? Mm-hmm. Some people feel empowered when they tell you, I can help you. I will make introductions for you. And then they never do. But in that moment of time, they feel very powerful over you because they're saying, I'm going to help you. I'm going to make introductions. And a lot of clients a lot of people I know rely on that, and they wait and they wait. The other thing is following up. If you do meet someone you want to meet, follow up. Send an email. Really build relationships. When I speak about relationship building or networking, I don't even use the word networking. It's really about building relationships and not being transactional. Mm-hmm. I was talking to a client last week, and he didn't get it. He said, well, I need to make sales. I need to make money. I said, that's being transactional. But do you want that customer to come back? Do you want that customer to refer you other customers? Or are you just going to cut that deal and say, wow, I made a sale today?
It's also harder to sell something unless you can make a relationship first.
Yeah.
Because why would I trust you? You come into my office, what you selling me something? I don't even know you.
That's a great point. And I referenced an article from the Harvard Business News where they did a study, and they said if someone's interviewing, let's say a lawyer or an accountant or a doctor, and everyone has the same expertise, they will hire the person that they feel cares. So it's not just I'm really good at what I do, but I care about taking care of you and having a relationship with you. And it's not a one-off. It's not a transaction.
Right. I can't agree more. I mean, it all starts with a relationship. And it took me a long, I was a door-to-door salesman in the 80s. It took me a while to learn that because I didn't understand. They taught me the sales process, but they didn't talk much about the relationship in the beginning, and that was difficult. And so it took a while to get that.
Good salespeople, and I work with some, and sometimes it's the owner that's the obstacle for the business to grow because the owner wants to be transactional,
Right.
and is pressing the salespeople who are very experienced and will want to know about the family. We'll talk about things,
Right.
and they're building a relationship. So it's not just a sale, and I don't have to sell you this object today. I know you. I want you to come back. And
Absolutely.
the owner sometimes micromanages, and you didn't close the deal, you
Right.
didn't make the sale.
Right.
It's a different mindset.
Absolutely. I can't agree more. So how do we find you? Frank,
Well-
how do we find him?
I think they're going to put my website on the screen, but it's jmpowerstrategies.com,
Okay.
and my email is jrm@jmpowerstrategies.com.
That we don't have. Do you have anything coming up?
I do. I'm working on and launched a mastermind group, which is another thing I've recently launched. It's Power Strategies for Success. It's by invitation only. If anyone is interested, you could reach out to me. I keep it to groups of 5 to 8. I have one in place and a second one that's being launched, where it's the collective intelligence helps everyone's business grow. It's not a networking group, and it's not group coaching. We meet monthly, and then they meet with me once a month individually.
Pretty cool. So it's collaborative.
Yes, exactly. And I'm the facilitator. We have a topic. I'm going to bring in guest speakers. And one thing I do have coming, September 27th, Matt Curry will be a speaker, and Tom Glasscock. Matt's a financial advisor. Tom is an attorney. And it's going to be, I don't have the title yet, but it's basically how to have your financial security for your business.
Pretty
It's just
cool.
a rough title.
Well, I really appreciate you coming on.
And I appreciate you having me.
This was actually a lot of fun. This was your idea.
Yes,
Your
it was.
idea was, hey, can we get some clips from your old shows and we can just talk about it? And I'm like, oh, that's a great idea. So
Yeah, I didn't want to come in and talk about me. I wanted to really give some other ideas about people that have been on
Yeah.
your show that have brought good ideas, great ideas, but I could give a little twist on it or
yeah, I really liked it. It was really
different
great.
point of view.
Will you come back again?
Yes.
Okay, so next time you come back, we'll hopefully we'll have we'll have new technical issues to
Okay.
work on.
This was fine.
Yeah.
We persevered.
Right. And next week, we're going to have on Charles Thompson, who's a surgeon, and he's actually moving a practice from Port Jefferson to the Huntington area, and he's going to come on to talk all about how he integrates business and medicine together.
I know him. He's a new chamber member.
Joe, is there somebody you don't know? Anyway, we hope everybody has a great 4th of July this week, a happy 4th of July and safe 4th of July weekend. Frank J. Parisi, no fireworks, they're illegal. Joe Lavolsi, let's stay away from the alcohol. And
wow.
we'll see you all next week at 5:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Have a great week.